Welcome to Living Legacy Leadership, where we explore, discover, and share insights, tools, and strategies for a life well lived into elderhood. I'm your host, Donna Kim Brand, author, speaker, legacy strategy coach, and creator of the concept Living Legacy, where you choose to live life on your own terms while contributing to people, places, and projects along your life journey. I believe that the life you live is the legacy you leave. Now, the guests I bring to you each week all address some unique aspect of learning, leadership, or legacy. This helps you raise your own game as a leader in business and life, and also showcases some extraordinary people who exemplify living legacy leadership. At least once a month, I also offer a training session to skill you in game changer thinking for your own application. So get your notebook ready or sharpen up your memory by tuning in your attention, and we'll dive right in. Now, today I'm actually going to revisit some of the psychological perspectives on defining success for yourself that are brought forward by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, Hardy. And Dr. Hardy, Ben, he's a fresh-faced 30-something. It's easier to call him Ben, who really set himself some very strong goals, and he has very strong sense of personal discipline. And in just a couple of years, he completed a PhD. He's authored several books. One of the latest is Personality Isn't Permanent, about how we can change the destiny of our life, despite what psychological tests might have told us that we fit into a certain box or category. He says that just isn't so. And also the newest book he's come out with in conjunction with the executive coach Dan Sullivan is Who, Not How. And that's actually a book on looking for people for who can help us with projects or tasks we have in mind that we happen not to be the best person to fulfill on certain of those tasks. So if we have a project to do and there's an element of that, like for me, it might be the tech side of it, I better look for my who to help me with the how. Otherwise, as I've found over the years, I just delay myself or procrastinate or do a substandard job because it's not my area of expertise. So the book is called Who, Not How. And it's kind of funny because you can feel a bit like you're in Whoville with Dr. Seuss as you read through parts of the book, but it's actually very insightful and very helpful for teams and leaders, and even working in families or personally if you're an entrepreneur to work on specific projects. Now, the idea behind these success tips, if you will, are that they're counterintuitive in many cases, and they are unconventional. They're not what you typically necessarily think about when you think about success. Some of them, yeah, maybe, but a lot of them are counterintuitive or unconventional. So I'm going to start with one here. He's got a whole list of 34, and a few weeks back, maybe a month or so ago, we actually started with this list, and I'm injecting a few as we go over time as we finish out the year so that you can think about what success means to you, define it on your own terms. And these particular characteristics or pointers about success just give you kind of a psychological edge that you can apply to whatever it is you're working on to be successful at. Okay, so here's one. You can't have it all. Now, the reality is maybe you can, but not all at the same time. The reality is every decision has an opportunity cost. So when you choose one thing, simultaneously, very often you can't choose another. And so it's hard to decide, but it behooves you to decide what are your priorities or what it is that you want to have first or that you need first, because there might be a sequential order that makes more sense if you go after one aspect of success or achievement before another aspect. Robert Fritz, who I studied with, he's written the book called The Path of Least Resistance and Creating. He had this dynamic in a course that we used to both study but also teach about asking, once you've defined what you say you want, the question is, if you could have it, would you really choose it? The point is, given what it takes to achieve what you say you want, are you really willing to put in the work? A lot of people say, oh, I want to be a millionaire. And it sounds like a wonderful thing to be, and who doesn't want that? But the reality is, to become a millionaire or multimillionaire takes a lot of work, effort, insight, strategy, networking, persistence, dogmatism, focus, all kinds of things that, frankly, a lot of people just don't have or aren't willing to invest in to the degree on that one thing to have what they want. So that's what you're really giving up. And, with that in mind, it really helps to know what matters most so that you can choose what you want first or most, and then line up the activities that will actually move you towards that goal. It also implies that you've thought about long and short-term goals so that you're willing to invest a certain amount of time, energy, effort into those goals as you move forward. So you can have it all, maybe, but not all at once. And you're better off to go for those things that are your priorities in life, just so you don't run out of time, energy, money, resources, or whatever, and build up to the bigger, larger, other things that might be less essential or at least not necessary at this point in your life. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. He says, never forget where you come from. So this is talking about not burning your bridges, not acting superior to other people on your way up the ladder of success, so-called, and also to recognize how many people have actually contributed to your success or to where you have gotten to at this point in your life. Everybody from your parents, maybe your siblings, maybe friends, teachers, colleagues, mentors, coaches, even strangers who provide insights on occasion or feedback about who you are being or what you are doing that can be useful to you. And certainly also things we learn from books and other places we've been or events that have happened to us that we've learned from. So recognizing that despite the individual ruggedism of most American people, we think we've done everything all by ourselves. It really very often is a team effort, or at least you've got some helpers along the way, even if you weren't exactly a team. And it helps as well in the process to maintain a sense of humility and gratitude and also acknowledgement, so that if you can, let those people who have helped you along the way be acknowledged about what it is that you're grateful to them for, because everybody likes to feel good about that and know that they've made a difference to someone else. Now, one of these success points that Ben Hardy makes that I'll repeat from last time is that your vision of who you want to be is your greatest asset. And he uses a quote from Oprah Winfrey that, quote, create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life because you become what you believe. It's all about perception followed through by actions. So no matter where you are right now, frankly, you can create pretty much any future you want as long as, like we just said, you're willing to put in the work and the effort and roll up the sleeves to get what you want. So, as they say, what you plant, you'll harvest. So make sure what you're planting, the seeds you're sowing, that you plant with intention. We know from the brain field, neuroscience, that mental creation always precedes physical creation. And the blueprint you design in your mind ends up becoming the life that you build. The tricky thing is, you've got to watch out for people around you who you surround yourself with on a daily basis, because a lot of society is seeking comfort, is seeking to settle into comfortable patterns. Some would even say mediocrity. And if you're looking to go beyond that, which you probably are if you're listening to a session on success, you don't want to have those mores dictated to you. So go ahead and create a vision of who you want to be, that's bold, that's audacious, and gives you hope and becomes a guiding light for your life. Okay, so we're going to move on then to earning money is moral. Wow, now this is coming from Ben Hardy, who, by the way, is a Mormon, and we do know that the Mormons, as a religious grouping, are very successful financially. If you look at the economic activity going on in Salt Lake City, it is no small thing. And so even though some people do equate earning money with not being religious, actually that's not the case. It's all about how you look at what money is and what money does for you. The reality is money, like a lot of things, is neutral. You can use it for good, you can use it for evil. In a sense, it's a symbol of perceived value. It's a medium of exchange. And, you know, when you put something for sale in the market as a seller, or you're on the buying end of something, if you feel like the perceived value that it's labeled with as a price is fair, you'll buy it. If you think the perceived price is too high, you won't, or you may not, or you'll negotiate. And the point is that how we handle money as this medium of exchange, if we do it with honesty and integrity, in fact, can be a service for humanity. And it's a whole point of view that looks at making money and even sales per se as a sacred service, because, you know, there are even some who will say it's immoral if you don't offer something for sale to someone if you know it's going to bring them extra value. So that's a pretty radical viewpoint from the norm of our society. Okay, we're going to move on to another success point by Dr. Ben Hardy. Almost everything in life is a distraction. Okay. Now, there's a quote by an author friend of ours, Greg McEwen, who says, "You cannot overestimate the unimportance of practically everything." Isn't that something? I mean, we get so caught up in the hoo-has of the day and our deadlines and so on. And of course, we want to be accountable, and of course, we want to be productive and deliver. But very often, we spend a good proportion of our day active in the lesser important things of life. In fact, you know, there's leadership strategies that talk about doing one or two things in a day and not doing anything else until those things are finished. Other people will say, well, I need to get all the little stuff out of the way first so that I can get to the big stuff, and then sometimes never get to the big stuff because all the little stuff just crowds it all out. So, you know, it's a matter, again, just like one of the other success principles we already discussed, of being aware. What are your priorities? What matters to you, so that you're in a position to focus on it. We're going to talk about focus in more detail in just a minute. Now, the reality is almost everything has, you know, a price tag in the marketplace. But there are some things you can't put a price tag on, and particularly personal relationships and personal values are types of things that don't have a price tag. What you want to be careful of is never exchanging something priceless for a price. So keep things in proper perspective, and take stock of what you do value. And also, one of the ways to help keep yourself in line, in a sense of being less distracted, is to remove distracting non-essentials from your life, or at least take them out of off the table in front of your eyesight, so that they're not sort of bothering you, tantalizing you, distracting you, which is exactly their purpose in life, to distract you. So that's almost everything in life is